Hey, what's up guys, Lightsaber Samurai here, back again for another video. And last week the Xbox 360 store finally shut down. The Wii U store closed last year. The Wii store has been closed for years and years now, and so that just leaves the PlayStation 3 as the only store from the 7th generation that you can still log onto and make purchases. So I thought I would take a look at what you can get on the PlayStation Store in 2024, 2025, nearly 20 years after the PS3's launch. Let's talk about it. Alrighty, so here we are. It's good to be back in the PlayStation 3 interface. I'm gonna go right ahead to the store here. Okay, and it comes up and we are in. One thing I forgot to mention, and it mentions it on the right side here. If you're planning on buying anything, then you need to go on another device and add funds to your cart. I already went on my PS4 and just added my credit card information on there so I can go ahead and shop away. But just know you got to do that first before you buy anything for the PS3. Same thing for the Vita, which we may look at in another video. But anyway, let's go ahead and get started. So we got PS3 bundles, or best of PS3 or PS4 bundles, some stuff that's just for me, but nothing's on there. Okay, this is where we're gonna pop in. We got add-ons. And one thing about the store, it's always been kind of slow and buggy, at least for me. So that's just something you're gonna have to deal with. But I don't know, they ain't even show up. Apps, here's a bunch of apps that come up. So you can have basically your streaming services still on your PS3. So your Crunchyrolls, your Netflix, Hulu, Spotify, YouTube, all of that good stuff. So like I said, you can always check in the free. There's a bunch of different games and stuff here in the free section, free versions. So yeah, always take a look at what's free. Okay, it's always good to do that, especially for some of this Vita stuff, this digital only. Okay, eventually that stuff will disappear and then it'll be lost forever if it's not, you know, if it turns out to be something you want in the future. Okay, but anyway, let's go into it. Let's go to games. Okay, got top games. I'm diving right into top classics, I think, but you can also look in all games, and that's the way I like to do it. So we'll go to all games. We'll sort A through Z, okay, and then you can add a filter, okay, so you can look for it by game type or by platform. If you're just looking for PS3 games, you can single it out all the PS3 games, which consist of physical PS3 games. It's going to consist of PS1 games because you can play those on the PS3, and it's also going to have some PS2 games on it, as well as some PlayStation Network games. But I don't really stay in here. As you can see, games like Blaze Blue or Borderlands Ultimate Edition, they don't keep up with the prices as time goes on, so these games can be found at GameStop for a fraction of the cost. So this is usually not where I go. Instead, I'll go to all games, but let's go back up here. And you see here, so when you look at it here, first off, still a ton of Vita games to be had. Okay, 400, almost 500 PlayStation Vita games. Of course, that's going to include some PlayStation 1 games, as you can play PlayStation 1 games on the PlayStation Vita. But this, if you come here, this isn't where all the games are. The store actually has a lot more games than they're even listing here. And so the way to find those, like I said, for one, if you go on the platform, there are some PSP games that weren't there before. Vita is now up to 721. Okay, but for me, okay, let's go to, not genres, but let's go to the regular game section. Instead of going to all games, okay, let's go under popular and let's go to top classics, because me, that's what I'm generally looking for, is the classics. Again, I'm gonna sort by A to Z so it's easier to find. Okay, filter. Okay, you can see 304 games all of a sudden. Now look at that. The PS1 classics, remember they thought that they took all the PS1 classics off the PS3 store, so you'd have to rebuy them on the PS5. Not true. Most of them are still there. The 100 PS2 titles that were on there, they're still there. So this, again, this is where you find them. Go under top classics and then just go by genre. Let's look at platform here. We got 233 compatible PSP games still, 344 PS3, and 200 Vita games. Again, there's more Vita games than that, but let's take a look. We'll get to Vita in a second. So I'm gonna start with some PlayStation 1 titles, okay? And here we are, because again, some PlayStation 1 titles have really risen in price. But going down the line, okay, first off, right off the bat, Alundra. Okay, I just picked up a copy of this game last year for like $90, which was a steal. Okay, because it's going for about $150. But if you just want to play the game, and like I said, even though I have a physical copy, I can't play it on my PSP or my Vita when I'm out and about if I wanted to do that. But like I said, pick up a $6 copy of it here digitally, and then you'll have access to it on your PS3, your PSP, and your PS Vita. And that's like getting, you know, 3 different ports, you know, of the same game for $6. So again, Alundra, that's a huge buy. Alundra's still in here, you can pick that up. Alundra 2's not here, but that's okay. We got the Arc the Lad series, so if you're in the Arc the Lad, they got them here. Okay. Let's see, Battle Hunter, which I've never played, but if I decide I want that one I hear is good. Okay, Blood Omen, again, the Legacy of Kain series is an expensive, can be expensive to collect for. There's a few of them. Hopefully, we'll see the Castlevania game that I'm looking for, but Blood Omen, that's kind of the more expensive one in the series. There it is on your PS3 and your PSP for $6. Bloody Roar 2, uncommon nowadays. The first one's pretty uncommon too, but it's not super expensive. Bloody Roar 2 is going up in price. Again, you can get both of them for a fraction here if you just want to play the game. And like I said, I don't have anything personally against digital titles. If you're not about the PlayStation 1, if you're younger and you just kind of want to go back and experience some of these games, you don't need to go out and physically collect them. Okay, this is a much cheaper option and honestly a much more sustainable option. Disc rot is a thing after all. And like I said, actually my copy of New Vegas just rotted, of Fallout New Vegas, so I gotta go buy another copy of that. Rotted all the way through, partially because I play it so much. But anyway, moving on with some other good ones. Bomberman is always great. Breath of Fire 4 is fantastic. Castlevania Chronicles and Castlevania Symphony of the Night. Again, you can get both titles for under $20, and if you were to find these games out in the wild, you'd be paying probably about $250. So again, you can have Symphony of the Night on your Vita, PSP, or 3. And actually, I think a lot of these games you can get on your PS4 now. So we'll try that in a minute, but I think a lot of these games you can be played on the PS4, so you can also play them on your PS4 and probably PS5 as well. Of course, when this store came out, those did not exist, and so that's why it doesn't say PS4, PS5. They never bothered to update it, but I do believe you can play those. Chrono Trigger and Chrono Cross, also good ways to play those games. Love me some Cool Borders. We got the Crash series. Everything but Crash Bash. So you got Crash 1, 2, and 3, and Team Racing. Blood in the Water, that's kind of a fun game. That is a Twisted Metal clone that takes place like on the ocean. The original Darkstalkers 3, which was great. Disgaea, which is fantastic. Dino Crisis 2. I may go ahead and grab this. As you know, Dino Crisis 2 is one of the games that got stolen from me that I didn't get back. And so instead of paying $150 for Dino Crisis 2, I could just cop it right here for $6. all day. And you see I did that with Dino Crisis back in the day before I found a physical copy. That's what I was out here doing. So, and I got that mainly just so I can play it on my PSP at the time, because I was taking some trips. So yeah. Any other heavy hitters in here? Of course, you got all the Final Fantasy games, all at $10 a piece. So if you're missing any of Final Fantasy games, again, this is cheaper than all of them are out in the wild, unless you catch someone slipping. So again, good deals on Final Fantasy. We like Harvest Moon. Grandia, again, Herc's Adventure is another great game that's uncommon and kind of hard to find now. There it is, $6 all day. Let's see. Jetmoto, you can see, I see the Jetmoto games all the time in retro stores. Jumping Flash, these are important because Jumping Flash 2 I don't think ever came out in America, but here it is, Jumping Flash, and both these games are expensive. And so here you go, Klonoa, okay, the Door to Phantomile, that also is a super expensive game that's $6 here, okay. So Legend of Mana is great. And so yeah, so you got some titles, and honestly it stops at M with Medieval. I've seen this list go further, so I think the list goes, I think it does extend, but the, what am I trying to say? But the store be kind of slow to load that stuff, and so if you sit there, like I said, the store is pretty laggy. Okay, let's take a look at some PS2 now and see what we got here. Okay, Blood Rain is cool, although they did remaster these games recently, so I probably wouldn't cop those. Let's see, moving on. That game, Capcom vs SNK 2, kind of expensive. Castle Shikigami is kind of hard to find now. I've never heard of this game, Tulip Classic. Don't know what that is. I don't think that that's from America. I think that's a game from the EU, but there it is. Crimson Sea 2 is a fantastic game that's uncommon nowadays. Shout out to Lament of Innocence, that one was good. Disgaea is awesome. And here's what I was talking about in my live stream the other night. Fatal Frame, you can get Fatal Frame 1, 2, and 3 for $30 combined, which is crazy. And again, to get these games physically, you are looking at spending somewhere in the neighborhood of $250 as well. Maybe $200 to $250, because I think the first Fatal Frame is, one of them is relatively cheap at like $60 or $70 last I knew, but the other two are quite expensive. So roughly it's going to be about $80 for each, so probably around $200. But here you could just grab them for $30 and have them on the PS3. Fire Pro Wrestling is awesome. God Hand, another one. Last I checked, this game was like $160. Here it is for $10, and that's a fantastic beat 'em up that's pretty underrated these days. Grandia 3 is nice. Grim Grimoire, the Growlancer series. That's the only game in the series here, though. This one, Innocent Life, a Futuristic Harvest Moon Special Edition. I don't know anything about that game. I like the Harvest Moon games. They're basically like Animal Crossing. Very similar vibes to that, but there's a futuristic one. I might check that one out, because that's definitely a hidden gem. If I can't find that easily physically, then I might go ahead and grab that. Okay, got Manhunt is nice. Maximo, we were talking about Maximo in the live stream last night. Maximo on PS2. Unfortunately, they don't have Army of Zen, but Ghost to Glory I think is the better of the two anyway. Okay, Suikoden 4. Unfortunately, that's the only Suikoden game. They do have Part 2 on here as well for I think $10. But all the Suikoden, however you pronounce it, all of those games are expensive. Okay, the Red Star is a great game that's kind of up there in price, hovers around like $50-$60, but that was a fun top-down game. Tokobot, I don't know what that is. I think they had one on the PS1 as well. That one I believe is expensive. I love Twisted Metal Black, but I got that. War of the Monsters 2, super hidden gem. Okay, so yeah, the 100 PS2 titles that were on here before, they're still here. Okay, and I don't know what these two are, but they're not. They'll populate in if I wait long enough. But yeah. One last thing I want to talk about is the games that are unlisted. And see, you see here when I look under PS Vita, a lot of the PS PS1 games will pop up because you can play all PS1 games on your PS Vita. This one is a game, Choaniki. This one didn't show up just a second ago when we're looking at PS1 games, but here it is under this list because it was a Japanese release. So that's cool. So again, you really got to dive in these lists to find all the games. Okay, Cyberbots, another one that didn't pop up when we looked just a second ago, and PS1. So you gotta kind of look at all the lists and compare them, and some lists the PS1 games pop up in and some lists they don't. Same for PS2 and the Vita games. Here's another one. Again, you'll find a lot of Japanese titles in here when you look for the Vita stuff. Okay, here's another one. So yeah, again, Evergreen Adventure, PS1, that didn't show up just a second ago, but again, that was released in Japan. Same for this one here. So again, you got tons of options here, and they're all pretty cheap. Galaxy Fight is a fantastic game. I think actually I might buy that. I'm not gonna lie. That is a fun game. I might buy that so we can look at that. Hyper Crazy Climber, again, there's another PS1 game that didn't show up just a moment ago. Some Mahjong game, Lucifer Ring, didn't show up just a second ago. And Lucifer Ring was pretty cool if I remember. Look, you got the Mega Man titles in here. Mega Man Legends 1 and 2. Again, my Mega Man Legends 2 was stolen and I didn't get it back. And Mega Man Legends 2, if you watch my top 10 PS1 games of all time, that was number 2 on the list, I believe. So yeah, Mega Man Legends 2 is a top 3 PlayStation game of all time for me. So I was devastated I couldn't get that back. Like I said, I still owe that dude an ass whooping, but I digress. Here's some top digital only games. And again, if you look in the top list, you'll find more in here. Okay, search A to Z again. And so here's a lot of where we find digital titles. Some of which disappeared on the Xbox 360 that you can't play anymore, but you can still come here and find them on the PS3 because a lot of them came out on both. The Alien Breed series are actually pretty fun top-down games. I might grab that, but here you can get the whole trilogy for $23. Okay, you buy them each for $30, or you can get the trilogy at a discount. Love that. Okay. So Amy, I got this game in my cart right now. I was talking to the crew about this last night. This is a survival horror game that got panned on the Xbox 360 when it came out. They said it had some great ideas, but there were some issues with glitches and just like performance issues, and then they hated the controls and the save system. Well, it was patched. Eventually, when it came to the PS3, it came with all of the patches that answered those 3 issues. So it's a smoother experience. It's they revamped the save system and the controls, and so I remember I played the demo on the Xbox 360 and I kind of liked it. So it's in my cart right now. It's a $2 game, so I'm about to buy that. Aquatopia, don't know what that is, but again, here in the digital section you got a bunch of cool stuff. The problem is that they only have, look, there's 300 or 600 games you can play here. So every time you look at one of these different lists, the numbers change because they're hidden, like they're not, so the store isn't comprehensive anymore, unfortunately. And so even though they remove things from some of the lists, they still exist in other lists and you can still access them, which is cool. But the problem is you got to do some hunting and looking for them. One last thing I want to show you, and when they do this, I think they only show like the top 100 games. So there's much more games in this list, and to find those, again, you can kind of go on the other list for them, or you can search like oldest to newest. Like, so these are the oldest games that were added on here. Like I said, these games we didn't see just a second ago, and again, that's because they only play the top 500 or the top 100. Dark Resurrection is a PSP game that you can get that they released on PSN, so you can get that version on your PS3, which is dope. Okay, so let's see, Pain, that's a fun game. Okay, that came with a bunch of consoles back in the day. I got the disc, okay? You can get a physical disc when you purchase the PS3 back in the day. So that's kind of a fun game. But yeah, here's a bunch of games that we didn't see just a moment ago. Sam and Max, I remember those games came out back in the day. But yeah, here's the top 100 games. Kick-Ass the game, okay? Did not know that was a game, but here it is. Another thing you can do is a straight up search for them. You run a search, it'll pop up. Moondiver, I don't know what that is, but that looks kind of cool. Okay, will it show me any screenshots of this one? Okay, and I can try a free demo still. Oh yeah, there we go. So that's like Strider is what that kind of reminds me of. Meets something like Mega Man X or something like that. But it's cool. It's a side scroller, like beat 'em up game like that you can play. Looks like up to 4 players. Great stuff. Sonic CD. Okay, Sonic the Fighter. So a bunch of Saturn games on here. Okay, there's that Neo Fighter again. I'm gonna check that out real fast. Or Neo Thunder. So it might just be like a shooter game, like a side scroller or something like that. But yeah, a bunch of cool games still in the store. Hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of games from all platforms still in the store. Okay, last thing I want to show you guys before we get out of here is the search function. So we didn't see a lot of PSP games, but if I search for PSP, look at all the PSP games that pop up that you can still get. Again, they're still on here, hidden. Okay, including a bunch of, there's the PlayStation 1 games in there too. But there's a bunch of games that's straight PSP games. Okay, like there's Cars 2. Okay, Castlevania Chronicles, which is, again, that's a great buy that's still on here. Dante's Inferno on PSP. Okay, Echo Chrome on PSP. So there's a bunch of PSP games still on the store that they don't have on the list. So if you just search PSP, there you go. Okay, Silent Hill is a game I didn't see. But again, we know how expensive the original Silent Hill is, and I also don't have that game anymore. So again, I can just bam, straight add that to cart. $6. Again, we didn't see that when we were looking at PS1 games, but it's on here. Okay. Star Wars Dark Forces, okay, old school game. Let's put in Move and see if I can find it. And here, I put in PlayStation Move, and then I got some PlayStation Move games that pop in. Like Little Big Planet, Sackboy's Prehistoric Moves, don't have that game. Fitness game, I don't have. Okay, the Ape Escape game, I don't have. PlayStation Move Heroes, I do have. And that's a lot more fun than people gave that game credit for. We'll have to look at that. Okay, and then other things with the name. High Velocity Bowling, I do have those. Little Big Planet 3, okay, because it have move support. Little Big Planet Karting did as well. Okay, Move Me app. So anyway, guys, that is pretty much it for this video. Okay, I just wanted to show you the store and then show you how you can find some of this stuff that you may have been looking for. But anyway, I'm gonna go to the cart. What's another game I didn't see? I didn't see Contra Hardcore, or no, what is it? Hardcore Uprising. Yeah, Amy is $3. I'm about to buy that real quick. So let me look for Hardcore Uprising and see if it's in here, because I didn't see that. So let me spell out Hardcore Uprising. Oh, look, there it is. Ay, Dios mío. Yeah. But bam. Hardcore Uprising, if you'll go down. Lego Harry Potter, which we didn't see just a second, you know, while we were looking. Oh, look, they got the Lunar game, Silver Star Harmony. Nice. Okay. So, yeah. But, again, Hardcore Uprising, there it is. It's a cool Contra-like game. Okay. And you can grab it here. Because you can't get it on the 360 anymore. But, yeah. Nice to know that that stuff is still in here. So, again, that's how you find it. If you want, you can pull out your phone and just search for PlayStation titles, PlayStation Move titles, PlayStation Network titles, and then you can just type in the name and it'll pop up and you can download it that way. So anyway, that's gonna do it. Let's go ahead and go to some closing thoughts. Alright everyone, that is going to do it for us in this video, but let's talk about it in the comment section below. Questions, comments, concerns, threats. What are some titles that you would purchase from the PlayStation Store in 2023, 2024? As always, if you like this content, go ahead, hit the like button and subscribe. If you haven't done so already, you'll be glad you did. I do believe that's all I got for you. Lightsaber Samurai out. Peace.